Students, in today's class, we'll be studying about more detailed arrays. Already we have studied what is an array, why do we need array in C programming, how to declare an array in C, how to access each and every element of an array, and how to initialize. And today's class will study compile array initialization as well as runtime array initialization, advantages of array in C, disadvantages of array in C, and access elements out of its bounds. The compile time initialization of array elements is same as ordinary variable initialization. The general form that we use for compile time initialization is as stated in the presentation, like your data type when is a float, whatever kind of data you want to show, then the name of the array and size, and during declaration itself, we are going to write down the list of values with whom you want to initialize. Like for example, if it is a array you are creating for storing marks, which is of integer type, then int marks and the size, and the list of elements that you want to use for initializing 67, 87, 56, 76. Similarly for floating point also, the floating point number also, here suppose I'm taking an array whose name is area and it is of type floating point and I'm giving size 5. So I'm initializing with 23.4, 6.8, 5.5. Similarly for another one, here I'm giving, as you see, I'm giving the size as 4, whereas I'm trying to initialize which elements where the number of elements are more than 4. So therefore, it will give you an file time error. So one important thing here to remember is that when you will give more initializer than the declared arrays, than the declared array size, then the compile time will occur. Whereas in case of the second example, you will not get any error because here the elements with whom you are initializing is less than 5. Now this is an example where I'm initializing during compilation. So here I'm not giving the size. So as not giving the size, so therefore based on the number of elements with whom you are initializing, it is going to take the size because I'm taking 3 elements. So therefore array size will be 3. Here I'm displaying the value. Because this A2 is by mistake it has come. An array can also be initialized at the runtime using scanf function. This approach is usually used for initializing large arrays or to initialize arrays with user values, whatever value user wants to enter into the. For that, we'll be using scanf as you have seen here. Scanf, I'm using the format specifier. If, of course, if my array I'm using for storing data, and then the address of ARR. Now, this is an example where I'm using scanf for initializing runtime initialization. So I'm writing enter the array elements. Because I'm taking the size of the array as 4, so I'm using a for loop for traversing each and every index or every component of the array. So I equal to 0. When I is 0, the scanf function will allow you to store element in ARR of 0. When I is 1, it will store elements in ARR 1 and accordingly up to ARR 3. And once I have entered the value, I have written instruction for entering value into the array, then I have displayed it through another loop using the printer. Now, thus, a random access of elements array allows you to random access of elements, of course, where we'll be using the index. Use of less line of code as it creates single array of multiple elements. You don't have to create so many variables, and a single variable will allow you to multiple elements. Easy access to all the elements because you can use the index. Traversal through the array becomes easy because you can simply use a loop. Sorting becomes easy as it can be accomplished by writing less line of code. Disadvantage allows a fixed number of elements to be entered, which is decided at the time of declaration. So therefore, Therefore, it comes under static memory. So therefore, if you allocate, if you give a size which is too big, whereas you are entering the smaller number of elements, then of course here there will be a lot of memory. Therefore, in subsequent class, we'll study when we are not sure about the number of elements we are going to enter, we'll use a dynamic. Insertion and deletion of elements can be costly since the elements are needed to be managed in accordance with the new memory allocation. Because while inserting, you have to shift each and every elements down the line. Similarly, for deletion, when you delete a particular element from a particular index, you need to shift up the element. Accessing elements out of its bound. Now, suppose you have declared an array whose size is 10. Of the array here, we are using is test, and the size is 10. So you can access array elements from a test array 0 location up to test array 9 location. Now, if you try to access 12 test array of 12, then the element will not be available because you are giving size up to 10. This may cause an unexpected output, undefined behavior kind of output. Sometimes you may get an error, or some other time your program may run correctly, but logically you will get an error because of course you will be having you are only your data, relevant data will be up to from location 0 to 9. So 12 data will be a garbage data. So you should never access elements which is outside the bound as per your size of sensor. So therefore, in summary, in today's class, you have used how to you have uninitialized array always contain garbage values. So if you are initializing up to suppose 10 location and your array size is 10, then the whatever value beyond 10 will be obviously your garbage value. You will only give more initializer than the declared array size is. If you try to initialize with more elements than the declared size, obviously it will give error. Traversal and sorting is easy, but insertion and deletion can be costly here. With traversal and sorting is easy because randomly you can access, but whereas insertion and deletion will allow you to shift your other elements either up or down to. You should never access any elements which is outside the. So therefore, so far as preferences are concerned, you follow these preferences. If you have any query, you can always contact me in the address given below. Thank you, students.